Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and to quote the great King Neptune from SpongeBob, the SpongeBob interpretation of him, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, my first wrestling dream matches video was so fun, I think I'd like to try it a second time. It's time for some more wrestling dream matches. It's some matches that I would personally be invested in, and for various different reasons. Before I came up with some dream matches on my own, and then some other ones that other people had said, but this time it's all me, at least for the most part. Like, some of these are some that other people have talked about previously, but these are also some ones I would love to see. Now, some of these can't happen, and literally can't happen, whether it be due to contract or due to a few of these wrestlers being deceased. But these are some dream matches that if given, if we were allowed to just put people together, or alive or dead, in the ring, these would be some matches I would definitely want to see. And in fact, at least I think one or two of these may or may not have been slated to happen at some point. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Starting, and I have 20 once again. The last video was 20, so I figured I'd do 20 once again. And I'll also let you guys know there may or may not be a part 3. But without further ado, let's get right into this. So, the first dream match on my plate, and this one, I mentioned there were some ones that were supposed to happen. This one was supposed to happen, and that being Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. Now, we know why it didn't happen, why it might not happen, but man, and despite what Brock Lesnar may or may not have done as a human being, damn, this would have been a hell of a Mania match. Like, granted, WrestleMania 40 still was a really awesome WrestleMania in my opinion, and Sami Zayn definitely having an awesome feel good moment, winning the Intercontinental Championship. But man, this definitely would have been a hard hitting contest. And maybe this is something that people had been wanting to see for a while. And the fact that we were even supposed to get it hit at all, oh, that definitely would have been a hell of a match. Obviously, like I said, with the allegations and everything against Brock Lesnar, or obviously this fell through the cracks, but what could have been. This next one's another big one, and this one wasn't supposed to happen, but I wouldn't mind seeing this, not at all, and that's Kenny Omega versus Seth Rollins. Two guys who are known for the high flying, known to definitely excite the crowd out, and when you think about it, definitely do have some very similar styles. Especially with Omega being a bit more or based in like strikes and stuff like that. But definitely this I think would be a very interesting and fun encounter. Like, these two would just be able to put on a fun match against each other, and there would be quite a few super kicks, but this would definitely be one I'd be interested in. Obviously, this probably isn't gonna happen, at least not in this lifetime. But man, and a guy can dream, a guy can dream. This next one, this is one that had been actually these like next two, but especially this one. This had been one that people had been wanting for years. Rumors. This is one that a lot of people rumor, or it hit the rumor mill that it was supposed to happen at some point, but haven't been able to find any evidence of this actually being the case, where this match was supposed to happen. But this definitely would have been a good one. It's Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles. Speaking of like two guys with very exciting offense, this definitely would have been a high flyer's dream. It definitely would have been an exciting one. Like, these two would have flew all over the ring, and I would be absolutely here for it. And admittedly, a lot of people would as well. And Well, especially not just with AJ's high flying, but with his technical prowess, is then Sean being as exciting as he was to watch in the ring. Definitely, this would be definitely a fun match. That's for sure. Between this and between this or the match Shawn and Triple H versus The Undertaker and Kane at Crown Jewel in 2018. If there was one match that had Shawn Michaels could have came out of retirement for, I don't think should have, because I think Shawn definitely should have stayed retired, and I think that the aforementioned Crown Jewel match was definitely evidence of that. But if there was a match to come out of retirement for, I think this one probably would have been much better. But before I continue, I do have to make kind of a bit of an addendum a correction to my previous Dream Matches video. Before I forget, I mentioned last time Batista versus Brock Lesnar as a dream match. Turns out that's happened as well. I didn't realize it until after the fact, but it did happen in OVW, I should say. So not on WWE TV, but it did happen in OVW, and WWE has uploaded the match to their YouTube channel. So I guess that dream match has happened, but definitely in WWE, especially years down the line when both men were a lot more seasoned and as competitors or as pro wrestlers in WWE. I think it would have been interesting match. Definitely would have been a hard hitting, meaty match, but it technically has happened, so I do have to make that quick correction. But this next one, speaking of meat, this one's a big one. Literally, it's Andre the Giant versus the Big Show. The Battle of the Giants. Would this be a technical masterpiece? Probably not. But it definitely would be a spectacle. Two of probably some of the biggest men in pro wrestling in more ways than one, especially in the case of Andre the Giant. Although, of course, also in the case of Big Show. But two very, very large men, to the point where the Big Show literally in WCW started off as the Giant, literally the kayfabe son of Andre the Giant. But this definitely would be a spectacle more than anything, just a showcase of just these two really big dudes, two of the absolute biggest men. But this next one, this one, I think will have some excitement from you guys, but probably also may raise a couple eyebrows. It's Jon Moxley versus Terry Funk. This one would definitely be a bloodbath, but it'd be a hard-hitting bloodbath. Of course, this one would probably be a death match. Terry Funk, of course, one of the pioneers of the deathmatch style, and Jon Moxley, let's just say, a little familiar with death matches and absolutely maiming his opponents. Both these guys would definitely bust out the white gear, or because they would both be covered in blood. But this would definitely be a hardcore fan's dream, and this would be extremely hardcore. Jon Moxley versus Cactus Jack / Mick Foley, what have you, would be hardcore. This would be especially hardcore as well. This next one might raise some eyebrows at first, but hear me out. I have Ric Flair versus MJF. If Ric Flair gets his way, and actually gets to compete in AEW, this match might happen. And although if that match does happen, I will gladly take the blame. So I'm sorry in advance, perhaps, but Ric Flair, MJF have two very arrogant trash talkers. There's two very dynamic personalities. Of course, there's Ric Flair, one of the most legendary to ever do it. And I'm talking about in the ring. Outside the ring is another story, but definitely one the bet has to do it. But MJF, kind of a young prodigy in his own right when it comes to that as well. Even just a promo battle between these two, I think would be interesting. But a match I think would be pretty solid as well. definitely would be filled with a lot of antics and a lot other stuff like that. But it'd be pretty fun to see just these two egos, these two styles kind of collide, right? And I'm sure definitely drawing some similarities between each other when it comes to that. Next up, this one. And this one had kind of been being talked about for a while as well, uh, um, but I'd be curious to see if this would ever happen. I don't know, but we have the Usos versus the Young Bucks. Would this be Super Kick City? Yeah, it definitely would be Super Kick City. But call me crazy. I'd kind of want to see it. Like, hey, it would definitely be Super Kick heavy, but I'm sure there'd also be some fun tag team offense. Like, both these guys definitely known for their incredible teamwork. Both sets literally being brothers, and both sets of brothers have fought each other. Or the Usos have now fought each other, and the Young Bucks have fought each other before or in the past. Time heals all wounds. But I think this would kind of be. I think this would be a fun enough match, in that regard. Again, and another match filled with some antics, but also a lot of fun, exciting teamwork, and sometimes that's all you can really ask for. Or just hope the Usos don't brutalize Tony Khan like the Young Bucks did. But next up, this one I think had been mentioned before, and they've drawn some similarities. In fact, one of the people obviously had like a gear inspired from the other, her in a way to pay homage. But I think that also draws comparison. We have China versus Rhea Ripley, the ninth wonder of the world, going up against Mommy the Eradicator. Two women and who are of course very strong, definitely known for their incredible physique. That would make for a fun match, I think. That would make for a very interesting concept. But like I said, Rhea Ripley, you could tell definitely he taking some inspiration from China, not just with the gear, but also how China holding the Intercontinental Championship, why Rhea Ripley wants like a women's mid card Intercontinental Championship, and now even the Undertaker would like a championship like that. I mentioned before, I wouldn't mind a women's mid card championship. I do kind of wish it'd be its own thing, even if it is like the women's Intercontinental Championship. I think it'd be fine with that, but I would kind of like it to be its own thing. But that's just me. But also, you got to book it right, WWE. Don't do with that title what you did with the women's tag team championships. Admittedly, I am kind of scared for them to do a women's mid card title, only because as I would hope that they would book it correctly. But a China Rhea Ripley match I think would be interesting in some regards. And of course there is even the comparisons between between Dom and Eddie, and then Rhea and China and everything like that. But so I think that make for an interesting concept. This next one, it's time for some good old fashioned tag team action. Or actually, we had a tag team match earlier, but time for some more tag team action. And the Legion of Doom versus Heavy Machinery. Kind of unrelated, kind of unrelated to what we're talking about, but man, I miss Heavy Machinery. Like, I know, Otis ended up being like the bigger star of the two, who and kind of got a little too over to the point where they pushed him to the point where they kind of had nothing for Heavy Machinery anymore, and so they had the split, and then they didn't really do anything with Tucker before he got released. But man, I miss Heavy Machinery. But the fact that they never won the tag title, like the official tag title. I know they kind of had the belts that they made and everything, but the fact that they never won like the official tag titles is absolutely criminal. At least to me, but. That being said, at them going against Legion of Doom, you might be like, Nigel, why Heavy Machinery? Both teams known for being very big, very powerful, but also incredibly athletic. Like, the stuff that Heavy Machinery... That's why I say I miss Heavy Machinery. The stuff that Heavy Machinery got up to who incredibly impressive. But same with like the Legion of Doom and everything, like stuff like that, like Doomsday Vice and stuff like that wasn't as common back then. Like big guys being as athletic as like the Legion of Doom. Who I know probably the more like the comparison people probably make more often is like Legion of Doom versus say like Demolition or Authors of Pain, which Legion of Doom and Demolition I think either that's been like a discussed dream match or it's a dream match that actually happened, but it's Legion of Doom versus Heavy Machinery, I think would be a lot of fun as well. And I'm just looking up real quick to see if Legion of Doom versus Demolition happened. I think it did, and yeah, it did. But I think this was after. I think this was after Crush had got added to Demolition, like where I think it was I think it was Axe or Smash who was who was like out of the equation for the time being. So Crush kind of filled in for him there, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm getting my history right. This next one, this is one that was talked about for a while. Sadly, never happened, and that's the Demon King Finn Balor versus the Fiend Bray Wyatt. This is a match that people have been talking about wanting to see happen for years. Like ever since the Fiend's character first appeared and drew some parallels to the Fiend, not the Fiend, to the Demon King, and and the the Demon King and the Fiend being both very scary, supernatural forces in a way, kind of being both alter egos. Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor had faced off against each other, but I think this would have made for an interesting match and really an interesting spectacle of things. But it sadly never really materialized, unfortunately. Like by the time the Fiend came around, they were using like the Demon King persona like less and less for Finn Balor. Finn Balor doesn't really bust out the Demon King that often anymore, but yeah, using it less and less, and Finn Balor would go. In fact, around this time, Finn Balor would actually, I think, obviously, the Fiend faced Finn Balor at SummerSlam, but then Finn Balor would go to like NXT and everything, and kind of do his thing there before being called back up to the main roster. So sadly, this match never materialized, but a guy can dream, But sadly, hey, this match will never happen. But could you imagine? Could you imagine? This next one, and this is one people talk about, but not necessarily a match capacity. More of a promo battle, and we've had that previously in the past, in my previous dream match video, where a match between them would be good. But the promo battle is especially what people would be interested in. It's The Rock versus LA Knight. Yeah, people have been wanting to see a promo interaction between The Rock and LA Knight for a while. Well, I'm surprised we haven't gotten that yet, but I'm sure we might. Like if The Rock is coming back into the WWE fold, we very well could at some point. But I think a match between these two would also be really good. But like seeing like a promo interaction between these two would more than suffice. Like the match, I think would be fine. The match would be what it is, and I think the match would be, like I said, the match I think would be fine. But definitely more of an interaction, like a promo interaction between these two. This next one, and if you thought the matches previous were High Flyers dreams, get ready for this one. I've got Will Ospreay versus Wesley. Two guys who definitely know how to take this guys. Didn't even mean for that to rhyme, but it did. But like if you're not someone who's a fan of like high flying wrestling, and this match probably wouldn't be for you. But as someone who definitely is and kind of is at times, this would definitely be a fun and exciting one. between these two. Like these two would take Haig to the air, or like now Will Ospreay. Hey, of course, or he's no stranger to fighting fellow high flyers, such as like when he faced Ricochet and everything. But this one against Wesley, so one of the things that both these guys have been able to get up to in the air and stuff like that. Oh yeah, sign me up. This next one and we mentioned big guys being athletic, and it's coming back here. Or I've got Vader versus Keith Lee. Two big guys their size who should not be able to move for big guys their size. Like with how athletic Vader is, how athletic Keith Lee is these two should not be able to do what they were able to do in case of Vader, are able to do in the case of Keith Lee, obviously, because Vader is deceased and everything. But this, I think, would be like if you like power, you got it. If you like athleticism and high flying stuff like that, you got that as well. Like this, I think would definitely be a fun contest. This next one. Also, kind of in the vein of like The Rock versus LA Knight, definitely a promo interaction between the two. In fact, they've had a promo interaction, but I also kind of would like to see a feud / a match between these two, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Like two of probably the most outspoken anti-establishment guys in pro wrestling history, especially in the case of CM Punk being perhaps one of the most controversial in that regard. But having like a feud who would end like a full-on promo interaction, like CM Punk and Stone Cold have interacted in like backstage segments, but like having a full-on promo interaction, full-on feud leading to a match between the two, I think would be very interesting and a lot of fun. And I think this one also kind of had been like rumored to excuse me, at least be considered at one point, but of course never really materialized. But hey, CM Punk's back in WWE. Stone Cold proved he could still go for the most part against Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38. Make it happen, WWE. But this next one, actually, these next two are definitely your technical masterpiece matches. Like these, he's for my technical wrestling fans. These two are for you. The first one I have is Bryan Danielson versus Bret Hart. This match would be a lot of fun. Like this would be a technical masterpiece. Of course, there's these two men definitely. But definitely masters of the mat. Bryan Danielson, arguably one of the best technical wrestlers on this planet. Bret Hart, or the excellence of execution, can make an exciting match. Like these two would have an exciting match. They'd be able to show off their technical wizardry. This would be a lot of fun. And so with this one, it's Chad Gable versus Kurt Angle. And really, you can mix and match Danielson, Bret Hart, Chad Gable, and Kurt Angle, or even throw them in a fatal 4-way. That'd be a lot of fun. But especially with Chad Gable and Kurt Angle, they have that bonus link of both being former Olympians and having that going for them, and the fact that Chad Gable's tag team partner was technically Kurt Angle's son. You remember that storyline? Yeah, me neither. But that definitely would also be very much a technical wizardry. But having the extra story of them being both Olympians and I guess you could also throw in Jason Jordan versus Kurt Angle as well. That because apparently that was like the plan, I think, for WrestleMania 38. Not 38, 34. The reason I was thinking 8 because 2018. But unfortunately, Jason Jordan had his neck injury, which as messed up as it is sadly the most Kurt Angle thing he managed to do. But yeah, Chad Gable versus Kurt Angle. Oh, that'd be an interesting one. That would definitely be really fun. But so would be this one, and this might be the direction they may be going. We'll see. But we have Jade Cargill versus Bianca Belair, or two more women who possess a lot of power and stuff like that. And this one this one has been on people's radars ever since Jay Cargill came into WWE, or even before that. Especially when she was on her way, like people kind of like anxiously waiting for her to battle Bianca Belair, and right now they're tag team partners. Right now they're friends and everything, but who knows if that'll deteriorate, or they can just have a friendly match. But this one definitely would be very interesting as well. They have had the interaction at the Rumble and everything with them doing the dueling gorilla press slams and stuff like that before confronting each other. But will that lead to an actual match between these two? I guess we'll find out. This next one is a dream match from the man himself. Not only a match that he talked about having being one of his dream matches, but it also sparked probably one of the most legendary wrestling memes ever, and that is Big E versus Goldberg. Her big meaty men smacking me probably probably what man, and if you think about it, Big E really is probably who we have to thank for, or like big men versus big men, kind of getting even more of a focus now nowadays. But definitely bringing the meat here. But I think this one, this wouldn't be a 5-star match. It wouldn't be a 5-star match or a 30-minute classic. But it would be definitely interesting to see like the power on power aspect from both these guys. And you know what? Call it more of a curiosity, but I would kind of want to see this one just to see. This next one, I'm sure is also an interesting one, and that's Eddie Guerrero versus Santos Escobar. Of course, Mr. Latino Heat Viva La Raza versus the Emperor of Lucha Libre. Like this would definitely be a fun match. Both men incredibly athletic, but also very clever as well. And with how talented both these guys are or were in the case of Eddie Guerrero, oh man, this would definitely be a whole lot of fun. We get some lucha stuff, we get hit the grabs as we get the classic Eddie stuff like that. But this I think would be a really fun match. And this last one, it is probably a big one. And I think this one's kind of been discussed, and a man who may or may not break the other's record, that being Roman Reigns versus Hulk Hogan, and the biggest star of the golden era, due to a lot of his own backstage control, versus arguably the biggest star of his era. Like two of probably the biggest stars in WWE history colliding against each other. We already got John Cena versus Roman, and this one we're not gonna get. I think Hogan talked about him wanting this match at one point in time. I'm or at least contemplating wanting this match, but this I think it'd definitely be kind of similar to some of the other matches we mentioned. This would definitely be more of like a spectacle match, but two stars of this magnitude colliding, and almost would be on the level of this almost would be on the level of like the icon versus icon match that Hogan had against The Rock, perhaps like Roman, and of course having a huge meteoric rise due to the tribal chief character and being the Universal Champion, and going against Hogan, and who had his rise through Hulkamania and everything. But I think this would be it'd be more of an interesting feud. Like the match I think would be fine, but it'd definitely be more of like an interesting feud, and definitely more of a spectacle of a match, like a match with a lot of magnitude behind it. And sometimes that's okay. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this round of dream matches, and I may or may not do, and like I mentioned earlier, I may or may not do a part 3, so let me know if you guys do want to see a part 3, but in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on these dream matches here, and I want to hear from you guys. What are some of your dream matches, whether they're ones listed here in the video or if you have some of your own, please let me know. Oh, and And depending on what some of you guys' dream matches, if you decide to comment them, then I might include them in the part 3. Who knows? But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.